1:47 a.m. A phone screen lights up a dark room. A banking app, open. A number staring back. $20,000. For a moment, nothing moves. No celebration. Just the quiet hum of a mind trying to decide what this number means. Most people will tell you this is the finish line, the reward, the proof that the hard part is over. They're wrong. $20,000 isn't where the story ends. It's where it actually begins. It's the exact point where money stops being theoretical and starts being a decision, a test most people don't even know they're taking. Because here's what nobody tells you: hitting this number doesn't determine your future. What you do in the 6 months after determines it. Some people will use this moment to build something irreversible. Others will lose it, quietly, slowly, without ever noticing the moment it slipped away. Which one are you? For most people, $20,000 feels like an arrival, a number worth celebrating, a signal that says, finally, I made it. I can breathe now. That relief feels earned, it feels human, but it's also where the trap begins, because $20,000 was never meant to be a destination. It was meant to be ignition. Think about what actually becomes possible at this number for the first time. Real investing, not symbolic, but meaningful. Negotiating a job offer from a position of strength instead of desperation. Taking a calculated risk without risking your survival. This is the first moment your money has enough mass to move something, but most people don't see it that way. They see a reward to be spent, not fuel to be directed. A new car, a nicer apartment, a version of "I earned this" that quietly resets the clock back to zero. The tragedy isn't spending the money, it's mistaking the beginning of leverage for the end of effort. Because right now, at this exact number, you're not standing at a finish line. You're standing at a launch point, and most people never even notice the runway beneath them. Picture two people, same age, same income, same $20,000 sitting in the bank on the same Tuesday morning. Call them Person A and Person B. Person A feels the weight lift. Relief turns into celebration. A new car feels justified. They've been driving the same beat-up sedan for years, and honestly, don't they deserve this? A few upgrades here, a nicer apartment there, nothing reckless, just comfortable, earned. Person B feels something different. Not deprivation, direction. The $20,000 doesn't disappear into comfort, it gets deployed. Some into index funds, some held as leverage, a buffer that lets them negotiate harder, take a risk on a better opportunity, walk away from a job that was quietly draining them. 5 years pass. Person A is back near zero. Not because of some disaster, just the slow erosion of lifestyle creep, a few bad months, a car loan that never quite ends. They're not behind, but they're not ahead either. They're exactly where they started, just with nicer things to show for it. Person B is sitting on 6 figures. Not from a windfall, from compounding, from leverage, from 100 small decisions that all pointed the same direction. Same starting number, same opportunities, completely different outcomes. The difference was never the money. It was what each of them believed the money was for. Here's something almost nobody talks about. The psychology of money doesn't scale the way you'd expect. At $2,000, money feels fragile, abstract, easy to risk because there's not much to lose. You'll invest it, move it, gamble a little, because losing it wouldn't really change anything. But at $20,000, something shifts. The number starts to feel real, substantial, like something worth protecting. And that's exactly where the trap hides, because the same success that got you here, the discipline, the saving, the sacrifice, can quietly turn into the very thing that stalls you. You start optimizing for safety instead of growth. You hesitate on the investment you'd have made without blinking a year ago. You keep the cash close, telling yourself it's caution, when really, it's fear wearing a responsible costume. This is the paradox almost no one warns you about. The milestone that proves you can build wealth is often the exact moment people stop building it. Not from failure, from protection. If you felt that pull recently, that quiet urge to just hold, just wait, just play it safe, that's not weakness. That's the pattern. And recognizing it is the first real move toward breaking it. So let's be precise about what $20,000 actually is. It's not a number. It's a mirror. It reflects, with uncomfortable clarity, who you actually are underneath the story you tell about yourself. Are you someone who protects small wins out of fear they won't come again? Or are you someone who builds systems because you understand this is only the beginning of a much larger pattern? Most people never ask themselves this question directly. They just react, and their reaction becomes their identity by default. Here's the shift that changes everything. From this point forward, every financial decision you make is no longer just about money. It's a leverage decision. Money can now multiply time, buying you options, freedom, distance from decisions made out of desperation. Or time can quietly erode money, through inflation, through inaction, through a slow lifestyle creep that feels harmless in the moment and devastating in hindsight. There is no neutral option here. Standing still is still a decision, and it's the one most people make without ever realizing they made it. This is the moment the identity shift either happens or gets postponed. Again, let's make this tangible, because vague urgency is easy to ignore. Specific numbers are not. $20,000 invested at a modest 8% return becomes roughly $43,000 in 10 years. Left untouched for 20, it becomes over $93,000. 30 years, and you're looking at more than $200,000 from a single decision made once, then left alone. Now picture the alternative. That same $20,000 slowly spent down, absorbed into upgrades and treat yourself moments over the same 3 decades. Not recklessly, just gradually. It doesn't just fail to grow, it quietly vanishes and takes something else with it. The version of you who could have had options. This is compounding delay cost. Not just lost money, but lost time you can't buy back at any price. Every year you wait to decide who you're becoming with this money, the version of you 10 years from now inherits that delay. Not as a lesson, as a debt. And it's not only money at stake, it's negotiating power. The ability to walk away from a job that's wearing you down. The freedom to take a real risk instead of a safe, forgettable one. Most people never calculate this cost. That's exactly why they pay it. This is where the psychology becomes practical, where insight turns into instrument. At $20,000, index investing stops being symbolic and starts being meaningful. This is the point where consistent contributions compound into something with real gravity, not just a line item you check occasionally. At $20,000, an emergency fund isn't just protection, it's permission. Permission to take a calculated risk elsewhere, a career pivot, a side business, a negotiation you wouldn't have dared before, because failure no longer means collapse. At $20,000, debt payoff strategy changes shape entirely. It's no longer about survival, scraping together minimum payments to stay afloat. It becomes acceleration, a deliberate, aggressive move to eliminate what's costing you the most, freeing up capital that compounds instead of leaks. Each of these isn't a tactic. It's a door, and most people walk past all 3 without ever realizing they were unlocked. The tools available to you right now are fundamentally different than they were a year ago. Not because the market changed, because you did, whether you've noticed it yet or not. Back to that room. 1:47 a.m., the same phone, the same glow, the same number sitting quietly on the screen. Except now it looks different. That number was never an ending. It was a decision point disguised as a milestone, and most people will read it as a reward. A pat on the back, permission to relax. But the ones who build real wealth, the ones who look back a decade from now and recognize themselves as fundamentally changed, they read it differently. Not as a reward, but as a responsibility. Not as proof they made it, but as proof they're capable of more, if they choose to act like it. The money already changed the moment it hit your account. The only question left, the one sitting in that quiet room at 1:47 a.m., is whether you do too.